What's going on, everybody? Dark Hour 717 here, and we are in PTU 314 version U. And today we're going to take a look at some of the changes with combat. We're going to go out and get some of our certifications done, as well as look at the changes that are implemented in 314 by utilization of the capacitors, and how that changes how you can adjust your power settings and direct things to different areas based on the activities that you're doing. So we're going to take off from New Babbage here, but before we do, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Also follow on Twitch, and don't forget to catch our streams every Wednesday and Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So now we're going to go ahead and spawn in our Harbinger, and we are going to head out to the Hurston area where we can start picking up some of our certifications. So let's head on out. Okay, so before we head out to Hurston here, we're going to go over a couple of the changes here in the cockpit, and of course we're in my Harbinger, and as you can see, it has a whole new HUD system. So some of the changes on the HUD, if you take a look here on the right hand side, you actually have your ammo counts for all your weapons, our M7A here, and of course our size 2s that are in the nose. We have ATVS and GVS4s right now. And then of course you have your hydrogen, your quantum fuel capacity, as well as indicators for your decoy and your noise. And then of course you have your altimeter here. Of course you have your pitch here. And then on the left side we have our velocity meter. And this will actually be a permanent red and blue bar here instead of filling up, and the only thing that's going to change is the little arrow that's inside this box will move up and down. The box itself is your limiter set, so wherever you set your top speed on your limiter, that box will stay there. Of course, this indicator is showing that we're in cruise control right now, just outside the box. Now, the other things that you have here, of course, every ship, whether it's equipped or not with VTOL, will have a VTOL indicator, and it will light up and turn off as you hit that VTOL, even though there is no VTOL mode on this ship. You also have your coupled indicator, as well as your landing gear and your ESP. Now, the HUD itself, actually, I love the changes. Inside this box here on the right, that's where you're going to have your altimeter. And it's, I think, a huge improvement over what we had before, and I think it's definitely much more useful. Of course, we have our compass indicator here at the top, as well as we have indicators here for our power settings as far as shields, weapons, and power, and how that's divided. Now, unlike before, where you could go into your items and you would have overclock on all your different items, such as your shields, your weapons, and everything such as that, now it's all done through the capacitors with this triangle in your MFD. So you can change the input, and if we move this all the way to the weapons, you'll see we'll get an increase on our weapons. Not a huge increase, but we will get an increase. So if you hit F8, it recenters it, and you'll see that our standard weapon loadout will give us 15 rounds of ATVS, as well as the 29 rounds on the GVSRs, and then 7 rounds on the M7A. Now, if I put that all to weapons, which we can actually increase the amount to weapons by hitting F5, and it goes in small increments, but if we put it all to weapons, you'll see we get about a 6-round increase on each GVSR, and a 2-round increase on the ATVS, and a 2-round increase on M7A. But we are sacrificing power that's going to our shields and to other systems. So for combat, I personally prefer keeping it in the center to keep a nice balance between everything. And the nice thing is, if you're cargo hauling, or if you're mining, or you're doing something where you're not doing a lot of combat, you can actually hit F6, and that will put more power in small increments to your shields. Or you can hit F7, and that will put more power to the other components in small increments. And you'll see that the other two, the shields and the weapons, are zeroed out. So for combat though, I personally like it dead center, and that just keeps a nice balance towards everything. Alright, so that's kind of the changes within the cockpit. Up here at the top, aside from that power indicator up here, the other indicators up here have stayed the same. The radar on here is mostly still the same. And it looks like we've got a red target here. Let's bring our limiter down. Now, one thing with combat is because of those limited rounds, you do want to be more conservative. We'll get more into that when we get to the bounties. But he's dead for right now, so he's going to leave us alone now. Alright. So much as many of you have heard through the Inside Star Citizen and all the other videos that are out there that are dealing with capacitors, your ballistic ammo is much more limited now. I've been running strictly with energy weapons because of the fact that after I deplete them, they will recharge. It takes a little bit of time to do so, but they do recharge, and fairly decent amount of time. With the energy weapons though, you still want to be conservative with your shots. You want to make sure they're lined up properly on the crosshair and pull the trigger when you need to without wasting a lot of ammo being off target. And of course, one big difference with 314 is when you come out of quantum, your quantum does not automatically shut off. It actually resets and goes back into spool mode, as you can see when we came out of quantum here at Hurston. Now, if you forget to turn that off, then it's going to keep you from being able to cycle targets or target under reticle or any of that. Also, one big change, of course, with the maneuverability within 314 is the Afterburner is now your boost gauge, which is on the left there next to your thrust. It actually is a nice change because of the fact that it gives you a longer burn time. I'm actually very happy with the change. I think it works wonderfully. Alright, so there we go. We got our spawn point reset just by getting a clearance to land, and that should put us on Everest Harbor should anything happen. And we're going to go into the contract manager here and see what we got. So as always, remember to get your call to arms so you get that extra AUEC when you make kills. And then we're going to go over here to Bounty and we're going to pick up our tracker training permit. We'll pay our 500 AUEC and check out on the map where that's going to be located. Actually, let's make sure we're tracking it. There we go. And of course, it's going to be out at Yella. So we're going to set a route to that. And that's the other nice thing is with the star map, it seems like they're allowing you to plot your course all the way to the target without having to stop at Crusader and then replot your navigation points. So we're going to go ahead and get underway and get out to Yella. Now the bounty system with the reputation as well as the certifications has not really changed at all. It is operating still the same. You have to knock out those certifications before you can start getting the LVRTs and the LRTs and so on and so forth. And here we go. Now while we're in quantum here, some things to also remember is that with 314 they introduced missile operator mode. Now missile operator mode is going to be separate from your standard guns, and when you actually engage missile operator mode, you're not going to have access to your standard guns. So you're either going to use your armed guns or you're going to use missiles. You can't use them at the same time. Alright, so to see some of the new keybinds that 314 offers, anybody with a HOTUS, a HOSIS, or even keyboard and mouse is going to have to go through and make some adjustments based on their own personal comfort, and also to, in the case of a HOTUS or HOSIS, work on getting things back to where they were, or at least close to it. So you can hit escape in game, go to your options, and then you can go to your Keybinds tab. Now, they give you the full keyboard layout here just as they always do, but I find it's easier to go into the advanced controls and customization. Now, we're still under keyboard and mouse, as you can see here, and what you'll notice is that they have this new category right at the top, which is vehicle seats and operator modes. Under that, you're going to find a number of different things that were in different categories previously, such as your eject and look behind, but you also have your mining mode toggle on and off, and you can set that here. Default is M for keyboard and mouse. Scanning mode's default is now V. Now, V used to be the decoupled mode, and that has actually moved to the left modifier, the left Alt and C. So that is now going to be your decoupled mode. Now, also here you have this category of quantum travel system. This has been split up from the engage quantum system, but it's still a default of B. And then to engage your quantum drive is still a long hold on B to make it launch. But this is where you're going to find missile operator mode, and default is going to be button 3 on your mouse, which is pushing down on your scroll wheel, and that will take you into missile operator mode. Now, missile operator mode, once it's engaged, will bring up your missiles, but it will also cut you off from your guns. So while you're in missile operator mode, you will not have access to any of the hard points of ballistics or energy weapons or anything like that. So all you're going to be able to work with are missiles at that time. Now, if you change that, then great. Anybody on a HOTUS and HOSIS, I definitely recommend changing that to a comfortable position. You're going to find out you're going to be using that a lot. And then what you want to do is go down here to your vehicle's missile area here, and you're going to see you got some options down here: launch missile hold, launch missile tap, cycle next missile type, and then you have your cycle previous type, which I don't generally use. There's only a few types on there, and I just keep the keybind blank so that I don't have to sweat it too much and I can just go in one direction. And then you have your increased number of armed missiles. Now, this is important. The default is going to be G. What this will do is, in missile operator mode, it defaults to 1 missile. You can actually increase that based on the missile type to be up to 4. So that means you'll be able to launch 4 missiles at one time with one press of the button. It will actually, we'll see this once we engage, it'll come up with 4 icons, and you'll see the green bar rise up through them, and once the green is completely filled, they're ready for launch. You can also, if you want, bind the decreased number of armed missiles, and that way if you set too many, you can back it down, or just leave the reset number of armed missiles, which the default is left Alt plus G, and that will reset it back down to 1. Now, what I do find is that missiles like the size 5s, they are strictly set at 1 missile that it allows you to launch at a single time. But the size 3s, the size 2s, the size 1s, you can do up to 4. So these are some keybinds that you're going to want to go in, check, get used to, and have those pretty well memorized before you get into any fights so that you can use your missiles. The other key thing is that when you engage missile operator mode, after you're done with your missiles, you want to make sure you turn it off so you can get back to your guns and be able to use those as you need to. Also, through the keybinds here, there's definitely some different things based on the new systems within 3.14. Definitely recommend going through, checking those out. I did find that certain items like my auto land, my landing gear, my quantum drive on my HOSIS setup did get wiped out, and I had to go back and manually map those. So if you're using sticks or a stick and throttle combination, you may have to go in and reset some of those items as well too. So just be aware of that. If you find something's not working, most likely you just have to go in here and rebind it. Alright, so with 314 you do still retain the ability to quantum into within a certain amount of distance, usually about 34 kilometers on your target, and then fly manually in from there. And you'll see as we're flying up on here, if I activate missile operator mode, you see on the right side that you get the current missile that it's equipped. The green bar is all the way at the top, which means I am ready to fire that, and I can actually use my keybind to increase the number of missiles that I want to fire at one time. If I hit max and I hit add one more, it takes it back down to 1. And then for my change missile type, you'll see it just changes right there on the screen. Now we're going to put some arrestor 4s on, and we're going to use 3. Actually, we'll bump that up to 4. Now, when you're in missile operator mode, targeting still works the same. You can use your target under reticle, or you can cycle your closest enemy, however you're comfortable with that. Right now, again, I'm keeping my power management centered, so I have equal to power, shields, and weapons. There he is. We're going to go ahead and target him. You'll see that green circles around him. That tells you that he is in range and locked. If it goes red like that, that means he cut the distance down too short to fire your missile at him. And we're just going to go ahead and fire the missiles. And there goes our 4 missiles. I'm going to turn off missile operator mode to switch to my guns, and we will engage. Missiles are still hit or miss as far as, you know, their ability to hit the target. It's still not hard for them to evade them. And you'll see that my energy weapons turn red as I lose ammo. And you'll see the gauges are going up as I stop firing. And there we go, he is dead. And here we go. Again, you want to be conservative and make sure that you're in that reticle so that you're not wasting shots. I think he hit a rock. You'll notice that when in missile operator mode, along the left side of the missile gauge there, you have a min-max distance. So we've got 35 kilometers as a max and 1 kilometer as a minimum. And the target will appear as a little arrow in that space to let you know where they are in your range. And if they fall below that minimum, it will tell you too close in the top right. And you would end up having to dumbfire your missile, which means no tracking. And I'm not a huge fan of it if they're not really close, just because you're likely, for me, I'm not going to hit them. Now, I have found that the NPCs, I'm not sure if it's a glitch or what, but they are also seem to be able to turn off their ships so that you lose lock. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to guns by turning off missile operator mode. And we're just going to blow them up that way. And there he goes. Alright, so let's set our course for the one out at Hurston. NPCs do still have a habit of ramming too. Alright, so we got him, and if you notice, my quantum is almost completely gone. So we're going to take a quick trip down to Magda here to refuel and restock. Alright, so we're going to just refuel and restock here. I always find it's helpful just do one at a time on these, because it tends to fail more when you try to do multiple selections at once. And as you can see here with the Delphi Reputation app, We've been doing some Xeno threats, so our civilian defense force has definitely gone up, and you'll see that we've got couple different levels there. Our Bounty Hunters Guild has been climbing since we've been doing this here, and then our Crusader, we got a little smidge just from that first one we did, and then of course our Hurston Security, just a small smidge. Alright, so that's actually some of the changes to the combat for 3.14. I hope everybody was able to pick up something new and found it helpful. Don't forget, get in there, check your key bindings, check that missile operator mode, make sure it's in a place that's going to be comfortable for you, and have fun with it. It's actually a great time. I actually like the changes that they made. I think it's definitely enriched the game, and look forward to seeing everybody on the verse. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Also follow on Twitch. And don't forget, if you're looking for an org that's casual gameplay as well as anti-piracy, check out Amarok's Fang, and check out our streams every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And want to thank everybody for checking out the video. You all have a great evening, and we will see you next time.